Small business owner check. This is my name. This is the name of my company. This is what my company does. This is why I love what I do. This is an accomplishment I'm proud of. This is where you can find me online. And if you're a small business owner, introduce yourself in the comments and let's support.
So, welcome to another episode of A Seat at the Dinner Table. I am Taman.
And I'm Kim.
And
you said it right tonight.
I did.
I'm proud
I'm
of you.
on point tonight. So, tonight for dinner, we are having tortellini. Why are you laughing?
Because every time you act like it's like big gourmet meal.
Yeah,
and I be sitting there thinking like, let's just whip this up.
100% African American, Italian mixed together, Sicily and Nigeria all together. No, all right. It's tortellini with some cheese. My baby put her spices in it, so I know it's gonna be hitting. We ain't got nothing fancy.
But tonight. Sorry.
We do have a fancy guest. I tell you that he's
as my grandfather said, he gets spody.
Yeah, he got spody for us tonight. So we want to introduce to everyone, our audience, Mr. Jeffrey T. Benson Jr.
Really?
Hey, that's what it says on his thing, and it does it on his page, does it not? We welcome you, Mr. Benson. Welcome you, Mr. Benson. Appreciate you coming on tonight.
How's everybody? Thanks for having me. Where's the claps at, to mine?
Bro, listen. The budget is limited.
Getting the mic on is a blessing.
The budget is limited, so until we dip into our reserves, and I ain't even gonna go into that.
Nah,
so
this is good, man. I'm proud of you guys. It looks like you guys are having fun.
Definitely do.
So let me tell you how idiotic I am. So I made the comment I did before we got in. I didn't know y'all actually were eating. So
we have to start putting that disclaimer out there, like bring your dinner to the table.
Yeah.
I got our tagline. Next time you show up, bring your dinner to the table.
There it is.
That's our little tagline we'll use.
Off the top of the dome.
Yeah, so I didn't even I didn't know. So I thought it was like a play on words, but you're actually eating. So
yeah.
Nah,
sorry, I'm gonna write that down.
Because I mean the theme of the show is pretty much like when me and her sit down and eat for dinner. We do have conversations and stimulate your mind and all of that. And we thought
we also include the kids too when we have these types of dinner conversations.
So we thought that we could just share what we talk about to the world. And with us being entrepreneurs, that's why we have our entrepreneur spotlight to share information to the public as well as ourselves. We learn each and every time that we're on here from each and every person that's been on here, and added some things to our repertoire and to our knowledge and all of that. So we want you to add to our knowledge today. So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Before we start, I'd like to say, you asked me to do this last month, and boy, a month goes by fast, doesn't it? Yes, because we spoke about this, and he was like, well, I'll put you on the schedule for November. Yeah. And I was like, good, that went by fast, right? But once again, my name is Jeff Benson. I'm from Seaford, Delaware. Very proud to be from this area. Currently, man, you hold a bunch of titles, but I'm a servant leader by nature. Currently managing partner with Prominent Insurance Services. We do personal lines insurance, which is your home, auto, your life, business, specialties like boats, motorcycles, things like that. I'm trying to get into the commercial space. And then I'll be later on talking about how we're branching out and expanding into the franchise space to give individuals the opportunity to become entrepreneurs themselves inside the insurance business. So
that's definitely dope.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the gist of me. I would say more so than all of that, a community leader, love serving the community, mentoring young males. We've been doing that for consistently since probably 2015. We've been doing the Gentlemen's Club, and it started at the Seaford Middle School.
Mm-hmm.
So God bless and rest Jeff Akins. He had invited me and Troy in to speak uh, to his class one time, and the kids really were really receptive and they really enjoyed it, right? And so from there, he was like, "Man, can you guys come back? You know, I mean, what can we do?" And so at that time, I was on the, I was on the board of Seaford School District's Board of Education. So I went to the principal and I said, "Hey, around the country they have programs like the Gentlemen's Club. I would like to do something similar here." And so he granted the access, and so we started coming every Wednesday, and it was a lot of great things happened. We ended up teaching on the 5 senses of leadership, and those 5 senses include the sense of self, the sense of value, the sense of consequence, the sense of power, and the sense of respect. And so we gained traction as some of the kids started to age out and go over to the high school. We wanted to continue to follow them, so we were able to connect with the high school and do the same thing. And so, COVID kind of put a damper on some things.
That one vid, boy.
But
That
we were able to do things virtually. What I learned very quickly when it comes to education, and especially young males, we have an attention span of this, right? And so you learn all those nuances through experience, right? So we were able to keep it going, but it wasn't the it factor experience that we had. So as I'm navigating and answering questions, I'll tell stories, and these stories will lead to different things of what we're doing specifically with my career, um, volunteerism, and the Gentlemen's Club, right? How we've been able to expand that or whatever. So, in a nutshell, that's who I am. I know I went all around the mulberry bush, but we'll continue to embrace all those aspects. And it's very important that I tell the stories because it it embodies everything of who I am and what I've become through success and failures, a lot of failures. But you just continue to keep going. As an entrepreneur, you find a way to overcome, to be resilient, and to solve problems, right? And part of solving a problem is learning who you are as a person. So
that's definitely a fact. And
Yeah, speak up.
I've I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I commend you, as well as my fellow brother Dwayne, as far as the things that you guys do in the community. Not to just set y'all apart, but you know what I mean? Like we had our clique in high school and whatnot, and it's definitely great to see how you guys are leading the young leaders in the community. Definitely want to commend you, give you your flowers.
yeah, and if I can piggyback off of that, I don't mean to cut you off. For me, I'm always surprised when I look at myself. See, Dwayne, you guys are always, brilliant people. I always tell people I had really good peers. Not to say we were perfect, we were mischievous in certain things, but I really had really good peers. They kept me on a straight and narrow for the most part. And so when I look at individuals like Dwayne, you look at Laritica, I look at Brent Evans, their family. So Brent and Vince, and then you have Beetle or Chanel, and you have the Briggs family, all that they do in the community, education, the coaching, what I mean? I'm proud to be a part of, I play a small part in the things because they do this full time, right? So I play a small part in it and watching their moves. But for us to all be from where we're from and then literally giving back, whether you're earning a paycheck and doing it or not, I can tell you the hours that they put in, that we all put in, but specifically those that are the educators, outweigh what they get paid. I can tell you.
That's a fact. Right. That is definitely.
I salute that whole family and all the individuals that we graduated with, or that's in education and serving in that capacity, because it's a hard gig right now. But they get up every single morning with the same excitement and vigor every single morning, ready to serve our community and our kids, to make them better and to make our area better. It's easy to complain about certain things, but they're in the fight every single day. And so I appreciate them because they inspire me.
Hey, me as well, man. I definitely commend each and every person that does their due diligence and their duty to be a role model in the community, especially a community that is in the heart of myself as well as you. So definitely commend it. But without further ado, you want to ask this question?
Boy, you confused me.
Oh, okay. You
All right. So our first question we got for you is, how and why did you choose your niche area of insurance?
So, I did not choose insurance per se. Insurance kind of said again, yeah, it kind of found me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I told you about what we're doing in regards to prominent insurance and expanding the opportunity through franchise, right?
Mm-hmm.
So minorities, it's not a lot of minorities in the insurance business. It's a $5 trillion business globally, 5.7 trillion. And so many of us, we fall into it because you see Jake at State Farm or whatever the case may be. You may have a life insurance sales agent come knocking on your door, whatever the case may be. If you are from the old school, some sales agents used to come and pick up your premium monthly. Your grandparents used to probably had those what they call debit account insurance agents. And I've done all the above, right? Mm-hmm. Insurance is, the average age is 59, white male at the majority. So they're looking for us as not just African Americans, they're looking for millennials, period, but definitely us as minorities to get into the business. And so I started in insurance by accident. I had joined the military fresh out of high school, came home to run a family business, and then the market fell. And then I found myself in a position where I was unemployed. Mm-hmm. So everything was falling apart. Just bought a new house, had vehicles. So you go from having financial security to not knowing what's going to happen. Right. And it's scary because, I'm 23, 24 at this time, and no real credentials at the time. I was in the military, but nothing to really write home about it, so it's like hard to find traction. So I'm struggling trying to figure things out. And our good friend CJ, his mother, Miss Tracy, was working at IG Burton in Seaford Chevrolet, right? She was the F&I, the finance manager. Yeah. And CJ was like, yo, mom, she work at the dealership. You want me to holler at her, see if she can get something for you? And I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? I was like, I got to figure something out. And it did. And so because of the hard work and the great things she did for the company, they called me in. The guy, the hiring manager, his name was Bob Halsey, I think. His first name is definitely Bob. Real cool dude, white guy, but had soul, right? And so he came in, I'm dressed up.
Yes.
All I can think of is Bob from accounting from Martin.
No, look, Bob from accounting didn't have no swag. This Bob had some swag. So,
oh man, no, that's gonna live rent free in my head for the next 5 minutes.
So, I come in, I got my resume, whatever it is at that time, and he just set it to the side. He said, I just want to talk to you. Mm-hmm. Tracy, all right, if you cool with Tracy, I'm cool with you. Pretty much that's what he was saying. And so that's a nugget, right? Mm-hmm. Having good character, being connected to the right people. Right. That opportunity, I didn't have to really interview because someone else had a good path and they had a good name for themselves. Right. So because they had a good name and I was connected to them, it was like, you already in, I just need to talk to you. You know what I mean? I want to know what makes you tick because you're coming into sales. So sales is a beast. You know what I mean? And I've never really been, we're all sales people by nature, but you don't understand where you're going from a situation where, like, once again, I got the 1st and the 15th to get paid, where if I don't sell, I don't eat. Right. So he wanted to make sure that I was mentally prepared for that. And so, I mean, I didn't have anything to lose because at this time I didn't have nothing coming in. So I was like, look, you tell me what to do, I'll do it.
Right.
And so that's what I did. And so I started working there immediately. The very next day I was there. And I did fairly well. You know, I averaged about 10 cars a month. I wasn't there very long, but I averaged like 10 cars a month, which is decent, you know what I mean, for a new salesman, because you have to rely on what they call ups. The ups are individuals that drive on the lot, right? And so, of course, you got to take turns with that, because I think it was like 6 or 7 other sales consultants there. So if I get one up, the next one comes up, it's somebody else is in the rotation. Gotcha. You know what I mean? Plus, they already have clientele. So I'm new booty on the team, right? So I have to make something work. And so that was pretty decent to start out. In the midst of that, I was showcasing I think it was a 2006 Chevy Suburban at this time.
You dating yourself.
Yeah. LTZ model, black, chrome, like ash gray interior. I remember it and everything, right? Because this is the transition into insurance. So I am showcasing this vehicle to, unbeknownst to me, a insurance branch manager for Combined Insurance, right? Combined Insurance was life / health supplemental insurance company out of Chicago. And he was a branch manager for the state of Delaware and Eastern Shore of Maryland. And so as I'm showcasing this vehicle, he's asking me specific questions. I'm answering them. You know, I'm doing my thing. And so at the end of it, he buys. But what he does is he offers me an opportunity. He said, have you ever thought about insurance? I was like, I know nothing about it. You know what I mean? Tell me about it. I said, you know, to answer your question, no, I haven't. I don't know anything about it.
Right.
And he said, you know, as I was asking you questions, I was like interviewing you, you know what I mean? Seeing, you know, how you would answer and different things. And, you know, you told me all about this vehicle. You educated me. You didn't try to sell me, but you educated me to the point that I was comfortable saying, yeah, we're going to go ahead and buy.
Right.
So in the midst of that, I said, well, what do I got to do? I said, I don't have a college degree or whatever. He said, you don't need a college degree. You got to get licensed. You have to have insurance license. And so I said, well, what does that consist of? So he told me, you know what I mean? You got to study for the exam, and then you got to pass this exam with a 70 or better. And so then, he asked me, he said, let me ask you this. He said, what do you like most about your job here? And then what do you dislike about it? So I told him, I said, the earning potential is unlimited, right? However, if I don't sell, I don't eat. What I dislike the most is the time that I spend, because a lot of downtime. And I always say I'm on the block, right? So you're on the block from 8:30 to 8. So almost 12 hours a day. And you may, if you're selling, you may sell 3 hours out of those 12 hours. It's a slow grind. Unless you've been in the business for a while and you're on the phone and you're calling, past people that you sold, past customers, and saying, hey, there's zero APR, whatever the case be, to get them in. I didn't have that. So it's a lot of downtime. And it was like, man, I hated that part about it. He said, so what if I can offer you the same opportunity, but give you your time back? Meaning, if you go out at, say, 9 a.m. and you sell a policy at 10 a.m., make $500 to $1,000, you can have the rest of your day. I was like, I'll do that.
Yeah.
All day. So he said, this is the thing. He said, we have an opportunity right now. We have a sales school that's getting ready to start up. But this is the thing. It starts in 3 weeks. But you have to be licensed before you can go.
Ooh.
Wow.
So I said, okay, can you give me the night to think about it? And, I was married at the time. So I said, let me ask my wife what she thinks about it. And so I got the blessing in the midst of it. And in sales, you know what I mean? It's not really you put in 2 weeks. It's like, you know what I mean? If you're going to go ahead and go. And it was no hard feelings because it was an opportunity. They gave me an opportunity. I left right, but I was like, yo, I have to hop on this. So what I ended up doing was I left, and I believe this is like a Wednesday or Thursday. So the guy, he sent me the information that I needed to study, right? And it was virtual. So now, mind you, this is 2000.
Yeah, look, this is a different virtual.
Right. So this is 2007, right? So I have a computer at home, but because things have been so slim, I don't have internet. So what I was doing, I was getting up every morning and going to Georgetown. I was going to Dell Tech, to the library, right? Because Dell Tech, I could be there all day.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I could be in there all day. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I may have taken a class there or so. So I had, and it's running together, and forgive me. But nevertheless, if I recall, the library was open anyway to people that can come in. And so I was in there from like 9 to 5 straight for 2 weeks. So I'm taking, you know what I mean? I study, I take the test, I pass it. I tell them this was like a Thursday. By Monday, they process everything for Friday into the weekend. On Monday, I'm on a plane to Chicago for the sales school. That's how I got in insurance. I know it's a long way out, but that's how I got in. And so the sales school was like the best sales. You know what I mean? It was insurance, but they told you how to sell anything. Yeah. So it was like 12 days, like real rigorous 12-hour days, nonstop. And so, you know, to this day, I still use some of those same practices. And that's what got me into life insurance sales. So I did pretty decent in life insurance. You know, I switched companies, and when I was working for United Insurance, I was on the Olympic sales team. I was a silver medalist. Could have been a gold medalist. I didn't even know I was on the sales team just based off of the premium that I was writing. Yeah. Right. So I talked about the debit accounts. So United Insurance was a debit account company where you go up and you pick up the premium. So that was different. But what I was able to do was educate the people on what they had. And a lot of our grandparents, because I looked at them as my grandparents, right? They had like $2,000 policies. They had nothing, right? Because I'm coming from where I'm selling $100,000 or more. Yeah, you know what I mean. They got $2,000, so they do have life insurance. But I was like, look, I need to call. You know what I mean. I need to set up a meeting to talk with your family because they need to know that if you pass, it's not even enough.
Nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. And so I became the insurance guy. You know what I mean, in the area. So I had like the Seaford area, I had the Bridgeville area, I had Georgetown, and like Slaughter Neck area. Slaughter Neck area. So that was all my route, right? And so I literally would sit and educate the families on what they had. And this is no lie. Now, once again, this is before real digital stuff, you know, with iPads or whatever. So I had paper applications. So Coverdale on a Friday. Never forget it. Went out to Coverdale on a Friday, right? And I'm sitting on the porch and I'm educating this one family, grandmother, and telling her what she had. She was heartbroken, but also excited at the same time because it was like, okay, we can fix this, right? So she started calling everybody in the neighborhood. Hey, the insurance man's here. So she's calling her granddaughter, her brother, or whatever. To mine, I had 12 insurance applications. I sold out. I was there probably from like 1 o'clock to like 6 p.m. Hey. Just right. Gone. And so in the midst of that, I would go to the funerals. So when the families would die, I would go to the funerals. And so that year, I probably went to like 14 funerals.
Wow.
And it's a lot. I wouldn't recommend doing it. It helped me. It did. It helped me in my business because, you know, I wasn't just a business person to them. I was family. He showed up to my funeral. Even if they wasn't on the books, if say I had the mother, the grandkids, and then say the brother died and he wasn't on the book, I'll still show up as support. And you know what I mean? Just love on them. But then what will happen is death is on people's mind, right? So this is prior to GoFundMe. Death is on people. Hey, this is an insurance guy. Yeah. Oh, wow. Thanks for showing up. I need to talk to you immediately. I don't have insurance. I don't have life insurance. So it will lead to leads. So me going on Saturday to a funeral, by Monday, I'm sitting down with 2 or 3 of their family members. Sheesh. So I was getting my leads by doing that. And so, I mean, I was really, really successful. So I was the top insurance agent for the state of Delaware, life insurance for the company, for the state of Delaware and the Eastern Shore of Maryland. And so that's what led me into life insurance. I started in life insurance. This is prior to me getting into the PNC, property and casualty side of it. So, man, I spent 20 minutes telling you one question, but I had to tell you that to give you the narrative of how I shaped up into this.
No, definitely understood. And I mean, the thing that you were saying just is about being in the neighborhood and having people call other people and be like, hey, you need to get life insurance. I mean, I think that's one of the things that us as a African-American community need to talk more about. It just seems like it's taboo when you're talking with your parents or your grandparents about those type of situations. But I mean, eventually it's going to come. And I mean, the more you get older, the more you do have to sit down and say, hey, so assess what's going on and whatnot. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like, how are we going to bury you? How, you know what I mean? So I don't want to get too wrapped up into life insurance.
No, but you're correct. The thing is also, you know, so even with that, right, you're hitting on something good. Even with that, I still wasn't setting the world on fire. What I mean by that is I'm burying them with $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000, right? They're not the best policies, but it's enough to bury them, right? But it's not leaving a legacy, right? Because life insurance is one of the greatest ways to create wealth, especially for us as African American. I mean, you know, our Caucasian counterparts been doing it, but it's a way to create wealth because it's tax-free income or money once you pass, right? Tax-free. Say you pass, you get $500,000. You're able to use that money, pay off bills or whatever.
You're not you. You can't use it. I said you can't use it.
Well, so not to get technical,
but we're not gonna go that deep. I know.
What I'm saying is you're right. But what I'm saying is it's setting up the legacy for your kids and your grandkids, right?
Right.
But then they ain't got to struggle and have the story that we're telling, right? If they do it, if we set them up right or they set it up properly, you know what I mean? They'll have something and they invest the money and then continue to flip it. In theory, things that get, you know, good for them, you know, generation after generation.
Right.
So what inspired you to turn insurance into, I mean, now you big, I ain't gonna say big entrepreneur because that seems like, this is my friend, you guys. So it's hard for me to stay professional and like I've known him since I was 5. So what inspired you to turn insurance into a business?
Well, you know, since we were young, man, we always wanted to be in business. You know what I mean? I remember getting in trouble with my mom when in 7th grade, printing out business cards to give the girls. You know what I mean? Running up her ink, you know what I mean? And the jet printer, right? My business cards, and she coming home mad because, you know what I mean? Somebody, a daughter that I gave my business card to, gave her the card, say, hey, your son's giving out your number.
Man.
So, you know what I mean? So it's always been in me. You know, my dad, he was a small business owner, grandfather. So, and then as we got older, you know, we're looking at hip hop and Rockefeller and Murder Inc. and all them. And, you know, Jay-Z, Dame Dash, Diddy, all them were inspiring to me. You know what I mean? Russell Simmons, you know, we got a chance to see the things that we wanted to attain in real time from other Black men.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, business has always been my thing. You know what I mean? I always wanted to be in business. To mine, do you recall when I was 13 or 14? At that time, we really couldn't get jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to work. You know what I mean? I wanted to work because I wanted to be able to buy some Jordans or something. Because my parents, they just wasn't doing it. You know what I mean? They weren't spending that money. And if you recall, I had a grass cutting business.
Yep.
So my dad, you know what I mean? He's like, all right, this is what we'll do. We got 2 lawnmowers in the back. He had this old Chevy truck. And he said, you'll start yard to yard. That's how you're going to start earning money, yard to yard. And, you know what I mean? He got me the pickup truck, and I was driving, you know what I mean, down King Street, King Road and Concord Pond Road, you know what I mean, cutting grass. So that was like my first taste of entrepreneurship. And I loved the feeling of it. You know what I mean? I remember one particular day I had my brother and you remember Tootie, Malcolm Brittingham?
Yep.
So both of them, one was on one yard, the other was, and I remember looking at myself like, yo, I could do this, right? So that gave me my first taste of it. And
is that when you gave up football too?
Yeah, man. So, you know what I mean?
He was focused. Trust me, he was focused. He's been focused, but go ahead.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Going into business, the grass cutting, once again, was an eye-opener. It was like, yeah, I can do this. But I didn't like the manual labor part of it. You know what I mean? If I'm being honest, right? And I remember one day my mom, Paula, pulled up to True Blue, and she would have me pump the gas, right? And I remember distinctively, it was a black guy. It was like a Tuesday or Wednesday, right? We're at True Blue. The guy, he pulled up in a black A-guy Benz, a bug-guy Benz, which is an E-Class, right? And he was dressed in a suit. Now, mind you, I'm used to seeing us dressed in suits on Sundays, outside of TV, right? Outside of TV. This dude was dressed during the week in a suit, and I'm thinking to myself, I didn't have the guts to ask him, what did he do?
What do you do?
See, you got a Benz, and you dressed in a suit. And I was thinking to myself at that time, I was probably like 12 or 13, I want to do whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just the makeup of him, the representation was inspiring to me. You know what I mean? My dad always busted his hump, provided for us, actually made great money as a truck driver. He was blue collar, but I didn't want that. I wanted the white collar life, right? You know, just in my mind, that's what I wanted to attain for myself. And so that's always stuck with me in the midst of it. Fast forward to insurance, getting to the point where it was like, yo, I want to go out on my own. You know what I mean? I want to try to figure this thing out and see if, you know what I mean, I can make a go of it. The other thing is, you know, entrepreneurs, they're probably the worst employees to have on your team, because you're constantly thinking of ways to do different things, but then you get upset because whoever is the manager or whatever kind of holds you back, right? Not unless they're an empowering manager. It's like, yo, I like the way you think, you're innovative, let's put it together. In fact, I'll give you all the tools for you to lead the initiative. Chances are, you know what I mean? Most people that I run into, that's not been the case.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? It takes a special person to do that. And so when you hit those roadblocks, it's like, you know what? I need to, you know what I mean? I need to make a change. Not only that, I want to own my own time. I don't like having to ask permission. Can I get a day off? Or my daughter has, you know, field hockey game or a doctor's appointment I got to take off. Like, those are things that I just don't like doing. You know what I mean? And it's something that we all have to do when you work for somebody. So
Definitely.
all those things inspired me to want to get into business for myself. And I consider myself a hybrid because I have a business, and then I took a position with University of Maryland to run their commercial insurance, but that was strategic. But, you know, we'll talk about that, I guess, pivoting into another question. So,
Okay.
So entrepreneurship has been in you since you seen my man with the bug-eyed Benz.
yo, man, like, inspiring. It's always been that way. Now, What's ill about that is mentoring young men, right? Because you usually try to mirror your audience, right?
Mhm.
So sometimes I'm coming from meetings or whatever, and I'm dressed up, but a lot of times I try to have sneakers on, the hoodie or whatever to mirror them. But in the midst of that, the few times that I've done it, it's inspired some other young men's like, yo, I want to be like you. I want to dress like you. That's what I want to do. You get what I'm saying? And I love that because that was the same feeling that I got. You know what I mean? They don't know what I do, but it was like, yo, you clean and you don't look like the men in my life. You know what I mean? Like it looks like you look like success. And you could be just as broke. You know what I mean? So a suit doesn't mean that you're successful, but it is the universal uniform for business, right? So off the top, if you dress professionally, you automatically demand the room. You demand attention. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I need to get some suits.
you know, right now we're in an era where, you know what I mean, a lot of times people really don't care about it that much anymore, right? Of course, you go to a conference, if you're meeting with, you know, the C-suite of a company, you want to be dressed up. But a lot of times, you know, you got young people like ourselves, they're running the companies. And they're like, yo, we chilling. Right. If you can get the job done, we don't care what you wear. Right. The company that comes to mind for me in this area is Trinity Logistics. Mm-hmm. I think I'm saying it right. Yeah, Trinity Logistics. Like they wear they wear jeans and sweatshirts to work. They don't care. They're like, if you get the work done, that's all that matters. Yeah. Right. We're a logistics company.
No, that's all right. So, I need you to feed me in better or something because I thought you was going to read it. Okay. Anyway, what challenges?
There you
go, Kim. Yo, he really get on my nerves. He really gets on my nerves. I don't know. It's okay.
All right.
What challenges did you have to overcome at the beginning of your journey? And then knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently and what would you have kept the same?
So, Alexa, we're not talking to you. Sorry.
You know, that's a really, really good question. Man, I'm going to keep it short because it's a lot of stuff that I can give you that it would go over time. It really would. The challenges to overcome. Number one, when I first came home from the military, I told you that, you know, they were looking up, you know what I mean? Excited about the opportunity. My grandfather, he was in construction for 30 plus years. He did drywall specifically. So coming into that situation, it was already set up. However, it was a lot of infrastructure that wasn't set up properly. Right. Mm-hmm. So my grandfather, he may have had a 6th grade education at best. But he was the man, you know what I mean, to be able to come from nothing to, you know what I mean, have a full-fledged successful business, house paid off, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know, he had more money than the educated people in our family. So but the infrastructure wasn't there. So learning those things, and when it all came tumbling, it kind of, you know, I mean, it kind of fell on me, and then I fell with it because I didn't have the experience. Right. You get what I'm saying? And so just being resilient, being scared, you know what I mean? And, you know, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be afraid because you don't want to be homeless. You know what I mean? Me now being in this situation, I know that being at the bottom, if I was to lose everything, it would not feel good. Trust me. I'm not trying to say that's what I want. Right. But I know that we can survive it. You know what I mean? Because now I have some skills. I have a name for myself. I know how to go out and get it again. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? If I was to lose out, if I had to say, hey, I got to shut the business down and I got to go get a job, that's okay. You know what I mean? Because that doesn't take away from who I am. Me as a man, that's one thing I have to do. I have to provide for my family, right? Mm-hmm. But even with that, I'm still networking. I'm still utilizing everything that I have in the midst of it. In the midst of the journey, as you alluded to, I would say being able to identify an opportunity when a check is not attached to it.
Right.
Right.
That's a big one.
So a lot of us don't do that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people see, oh, well, you know, I mean, you got to volunteer, you know, boards and different things of that nature. And so I'll give you a brief example. Right. We just talked about COVID. So COVID for my family, minus deaths, you know, I mean, I'm not celebrating COVID in any way. So I don't want to be insensitive to anyone that lost loved ones and lost jobs and possessions.
Right.
But for my family, it was a good time for us.
Mm-hmm.
So just as a family, we got closer together. You know what I mean? Everything shut down and now we're home. Because I used to be on the road all the time. You know what I mean? Beating the pavement, trying to get it. You know what I mean? Scrambling for this, scrambling for that. Now everything stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think what a lot of people learned was either they liked their spouse or their significant other or they hated them. So it was people divorce and break up during it, or it brought them closer. So for my family, it brought us closer. So that was number one. Right.
Ditto.
The other opportunity that came out of it
did.
was
the way you look like
I'm sorry. It did bring us closer.
We still here? What you mean?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to react.
Go ahead. You're funny. Go ahead.
So the other opportunity was, you know, I talked about being a community person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all the stuff that I did in the community for years for free now had a price tag to it. I became the commodity, the person that they wanted to talk to because I was already doing it, right? So we don't need somebody to reinvent the wheel. We already need somebody that knows who the players are, who can get it done, and we're going to pay them for it, right? So with that, you know, the state of Delaware, they had a number of initiatives. They were trying to get people to get tested and get vaccinations and, you know, just community things. And so, you know, you had Newcastle, you had Kent, and you had Sussex. And then you had Western Sussex. Well, who's the cat from Western Sussex that could help us? Oh, there's a guy by the name of Jeff Benson you need to talk to. I had governor, I had a lieutenant governor calling me. I had other organizations calling me to handle certain things for them. And so one lady, she was like, yo, this is the guy that's got like 7 jobs. You know what I mean? Because we were doing community work, but she knew some of the stuff that I was getting paid for. She's like, how did you do that? I was like, I just fell into it. They asked me to do it. You know what I mean? Some of them were one-offs. Others were perpetual payments. But it was like, it was a great time.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I told you about the Gentlemen's Club. So Dell State came calling, the dean of Dell State, very well. And he called me, he told me about it about a year prior. He said, yo, I may have an opportunity for you. In fact, I do have an opportunity for you, but it's not ready yet. And so he proceeded to tell me what it was or whatever the case may be. And I said, well, you let me know. I said, I'll do anything for you. You know what I mean? You saying you got something for me, I'm with it, right? Just because you know what I mean? That's the type of brother he is. So Dell State had a program that they got funded for called the Black Male Initiative. Guess what the Black Male Initiative is?
Gentlemen's Club.
The Gentlemen's Club on steroids. Right? So not only are they paying me to do what I do for free every week, they gave me a budget to be able to fund the stuff that I want to do. You know what I mean? The stuff I was coming out of pocket for. Now I got an expense account. Right. You know what I mean? So when I had to get donations for ties and suits and stuff, now I can go buy the suits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We can get them tailored for them. You know what I mean? The haircuts and stuff, I can bring a barber in. You know what I mean? I can write the check to the barber. You know what I'm saying? So all those things I was doing for free, I now was getting paid for. So during COVID, I came up. You know what I'm saying? So being able to see the opportunity without a check attached to it, it was like God repaid me for all the time that I gave out.
Yeah,
definitely.
You see what I'm saying? So that's all part of the journey.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that people miss is that, I mean, if you have passion in something that you're doing, I mean, the money is a byproduct. You know what I mean?
Right.
And at the end of the day, if you like you said, you were doing this for free, so now you're getting paid to do it, and it's not a job to you. You know what I mean? You see it as what the church people call ministry.
That's it.
Or
market ministry.
Yep.
So to answer the other question is, what would I have done differently? Kim, it's tough, and you know this yourself. You guys being in business, some things you just don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Only experience can tell you and teach you. And this is the thing. You can read books. The books give you ideas, right? But it's still theory until you can apply it.
Yeah.
Right? So some things you just don't know. Honestly, you really don't know. I can tell you for myself, man, I did all the networking that I could do. I went to the SCORE events. I went to SBA events. I'm up and down the state of Delaware. I'm going to Maryland to meet with different people. So was it all in vain? It wasn't, because you learn, but some of it was overkill, because you're still not getting anywhere with it, right? Per se, because it did allow my name to get out there. You know what I mean? I'm pulling and getting information, because in Sussex County, if I'm honest about it, Newcastle has a lot more corporate stuff going on than Sussex County does.
Yeah.
We have pockets of things, and I am now part of one of those pockets.
You're a pocket.
But, you get what I'm saying? But the reality is, you got to go up north to get some of the corporate stuff that I was seeking. So it was all beneficial, but I really wasn't gaining any traction initially. So I felt like I was spinning my wheels, and it's frustrating. Because man, how do I apply it? Right? Because the biggest thing is, the resource you need is money. If I had money coming in, which all of us, we all have the brain power to do certain things, right? If we had the byproduct, which is the funds to fund it, we could take off. Yeah. And then you're probably going to bump your head up, going up the ladder with different things along the way. But at least you had the cushion to be able to say, hey, I can survive that. You know what I mean? Oh, I won't do that again. You know, because you always going to pay with your money. You're going to lose, right? You're going to make a mistake, and it's going to cost you something, your time and your finances. So that's the greatest lesson that you're going to learn in the midst of it. And I would say along the journey, which I did, is find someone that you can partner with, or people you can partner with, that will be able to highlight your strengths, but also isolate your weaknesses, because we all have.
Yes.
Right. I hate doing tedious work. I can do the vision stuff. I can do whatever, but some of the nuts and bolts of different things, I really don't care to do. You know what I mean? And so as a small business owner, you got to do all of those things.
Yes.
So you want to get to the point where you had the funds.
Sorry, I felt that statement in my heart.
Yeah. So you want to get to the point where you have the funds where you can hire someone that doesn't mind doing it.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So you can continue to be successful. They're successful in what they do, and then you're successful in what you do, and you continue to grow.
Right.
Did I answer that to your liking?
You did.
No, you did,
bro.
To our liking.
You know, liking. So, what advice would you give to someone who's trying to become an entrepreneur / dadpreneur? If you guys don't know, Jeffrey is a father, so he's a dadpreneur. We can't just leave it all up to the mompreneurs. We have to share the word.
Right.
But what advice would you give to someone who's aspiring to be a dadpreneur, someone who wants to run a business but also has kids?
Yeah, man, it's a challenge, right? Because if you're single male or woman, and you don't have the responsibilities of a family, you can go balls to the wall and fail, and chances are you can go back home to mom and dad, right? Because your mom and dad, they're not going to allow you to be out on your own. If you got good parents, not everybody has that support, but for the most part, I would say we had that type of support, especially Black parents. If they see you doing something, they're gonna try to help you. Right. If you ain't doing nothing, you on your own. So if you're single, I would say before you take on any type of real responsibility with a relationship or kids, and you feel like you want to be an entrepreneur, go out and do it. Whatever it is. You may have to leave the area, you know what I mean? Go, you know what I mean? California, New York, Philly, Atlanta, Texas, wherever it is your passion and whatever the niches you're trying to pursue, do it. Get away from home, because home is always going to be here. But if you can do it here, then do it here too. You know what I mean? I don't know what that business would be, but if it means you have to get away, go. If you have a family like us, it brings on different challenges, but also opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
The blessing that I like seeing with you two, your friends, right? Yeah. And so the friendship exudes. The friendship exudes on this platform. I know you in real life, right? And so only a support system would allow you to be able to say, hey, and I'm speaking, even as I speak to you, I'm speaking to myself. Having a spouse or a significant other, meaning a woman that takes the helm, that says, hey, I understand that this is what we're doing because this is our circle of trust. It don't matter what mom, dad, whoever say. It may look odd on the outside, but we got us. So this is our plan. Yep. So if the husband is saying, or the significant other is stepping out on faith to say, look, we ain't got no income coming in on my end. But you as a spouse say, don't worry about it. I got us. It's going to be tight, right? Yep. If you got a strong support system in a spouse, don't abuse that, but also praise that. You know what I mean? You know, magnify and say, hey, this is the goal. This is the plan. You know, within 1 to 3 years, you know what I mean? You got to give yourself at least 3 years. Right. This is what we want to do. Right. And this is what I'm going to do to make sure that we're good. Of course, you're going to change. You're going to pivot because some things is going to come your way. You're not going to know. But I would say the support of my spouse has been tremendous. Tremendous. She was the breadwinner for a while as I was gaining traction. You know what I mean? As we were gaining traction. You know what I mean? It came down to a time where we had one vehicle. You know what I mean? And so we had to do what we had to do for us to get to where we're at now. You know what I mean? So the blessing is now, right? But there was some things that we had to overcome, but we gelled. I have a good spouse, right? Yeah. And if I can brag on my spouse, you know what I mean?
Please do. Please do.
You know, my boo, she has the same aspiration goals as me, but not only that, she has the same credentials as I got. You know what I mean? So she's educated, you know about the boards that I sit on. She sits on boards, you know what I mean? She's got governor appointments. She was a school board member, you know, a board of education. So she has the same exact credentials I got. And so we built our careers and our company together inch by inch in the midst of it. So for me, you know, I appreciate her not looking at me as less than because I wasn't bringing in the income.
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the same regard, when you're not bringing in the income, you still got to do other things such as make sure you're picking up the kids, helping out around the house. You know what I mean? Giving her affirmations like, look, I know things is tough. I appreciate you for appreciating me. You know what I mean?
We gonna make it.
And exactly, right? But then, you know what I mean, being able to pour into me when my head is down and I'm frustrated. And it's like, yo, it's not working. You know what I mean? You jump out there, and Steve Harvey says it all the time. He said, you know, you jump out on faith and, you know what I mean, the parachute don't open. So you falling. You know what I mean? She ain't going to open at once. You know what I mean? You thinking, you know what I mean? Hey, I got this great idea. This is going to work. And what happens when it don't? You got to keep plugging. Right. Because that's part of the test. If you overcome that test and you get on the other side of it, then now you can give advice to other people. Right. And I don't even consider myself super successful at this time. You know what I mean? I haven't touched the type of money that I want to touch yet. I haven't been able to help and put other individuals in positions where they can feed their families in an abundance of levels. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Hiring a person here and there for $10, $15, $20 an hour, that's cool because you're able to feed. But I'm talking about, as Jay said, I'm making billionaires. You know what I mean? I want to be able to say that I helped make other millionaires by giving them opportunities. They did the work, but I was able to provide an opportunity for them. You know what I mean? For them to utilize their skills. So for me, I would say my support system has been my family, my parents, my mom. My mom was the first person to invest in us.
That's
when
dope.
we went out on our own. You know what I mean? Thank God for that. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to slight that. My dad, you know what I mean? When we had to go back home per se, you know, he has properties. So we was able to be at one of his properties. We didn't pay anything. I mean, we paid, electric and stuff, but not mortgage or anything. So thank God for that. So that's in-kind donation. You get what I'm saying? Right. So, you know what I mean? I have my parents, I have my wife, my kids, you know what I mean? Just the smile on their faces and the joy that kids bring for you when you're down was enough to keep you going and saying, man, I cannot fail because I can't have them starting at zero. And I can't say that I started at zero, but I'm saying I want to have a nice nest egg laid out for them so they literally can choose to do whatever it is that they want to do. You know what I mean? Do you want to go to college? No, I don't want to go to college. You want to go to the military? I don't want to do that. I want to start my own business. Dad can invest in you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know if I answered that properly, but
you keep saying you answering the question. Ain't no properly, man. You answer it the way you want to answer.
Yes.
But listen, I definitely can 100% concur everything of what you said as far as the support system of your significant other, because being an entrepreneur, whether you're a mompreneur, dadpreneur, the biggest thing is management. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you're everything to the business. You're the boss. You're the employee, but at the same time, you still gotta take care of home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I know that she's been a huge support through everything, through the nights of like 3 o'clock in the morning. Why are you not coming to bed?
Right.
Or the what other nights you want to? No, you don't want to say nothing. Okay.
I don't know how deep you want to go. Where you want to go?
You can go. I mean, there's been some nights.
Listen, we're transparent. There are some nights where me as a spouse is sitting up encouraging him because he's going through it mentally.
Yeah.
Because he's so bad because things are not going the way that he planned or things are not working out how he intended it to. So it's definitely a lot, and it's extremely important. And I'm speaking from the white standpoint. It's extremely important to support your spouse's dreams and then be that support for them, because being a business owner myself, sometimes things don't go as planned and it can be very defeating. So you're there to be that cushion for them to be able to fall back on. And that sometimes you just need to fall back, regroup, and bounce back up to be that support for you guys. That's a part of what we signed up for.
I was your cushion too.
I didn't say you were.
I got a lot of cushion. Trying to get rid of this cushion.
That's part of marrying, right? And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. You know what I mean? And not everybody can handle, you know what I mean, what we've all been through. You know what I mean? It's a lot. You know what I mean? Some people run for the hills and be like, yo, I did not sign up for this. You know what I mean? Especially when the grass looks greener. You know what I mean? When you're going through those trials.
So, Mr. Benson, what would you hold on? Alexa, stop the timer. Why does Alexa have a timer? Yo, I'm tired of Alexa in my house. I'm sorry.
Said it. Said it. Listen, it was free. Okay?
I know it was free, but just the fact that I can say something like Lex something, and then she talk, hey, what do you say? Yo, I wasn't talking to you, man. But so that's neither here nor there, man. All right. So what do you want to achieve next?
So financial freedom is always the goal, right? To literally be able to retire my parents where they don't have to work anymore. They're getting older. So I would like for them to be able to just enjoy life, to do whatever they want, to retire my wife. she still works, but for her to be able to choose to say whether she wants to go to work or she doesn't. So those are major aspirations that I have, and that's what's driving me right now. So first it would be to bring my wife home off the job, and then of course the parents. The other thing is to be able to shake out of the small business title to business. To be a conglomerate, right? Where everything is clicking. Not to say you're not going to have issues, but it's not the hustle and bustle and rigor of the minute things, right?
Yeah.
Being able to say, the example, when Beats by Dre, when they wanted to, Jimmy Iovine came to Dre, right? Dre was talking about he wanted to do a shoe deal with Nike, Air Ones. And he was like, nah, everybody's doing shoes. Have you thought about headphones, right? Thought about headphones. Within a day or two, he had a whole research and development team tearing apart Bose headphones and all these other brands headphones to figure out how do we make this sound for us.
Right.
Then they created, however many years long, I think maybe it was 5 or 10 years, they sell it for $3 billion.
Wow.
That's where I want to be at, where I can literally say, I think something and I have the resources to get it done. You know what I mean? At this time, I'm not there, but I'm plugging to get to that level. And so I want to be. Say it again.
No, you can finish it now.
So that's what I want to achieve next. Just the financial freedom to create those opportunities. More so, like if I think it, and then try to make it come to a reality. And I always use that as an example because when he was talking about it, that's literally what they was doing. They were literally just sitting on his, I guess they was at the beach or whatever, just sitting down talking. And then, have you thought about what about headphones?
Right.
And he takes it and runs with it. You know what I mean? $3 billion later.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
And I'll just say this before we go to the next. One of the things I know is that in areas like I'll take my area specifically. Like in the area of Seaford, there are so many brilliant minds, right? It's just the lack of the resource of funds. And one of the people that I look up to, he's kind of like my secret mentor, whether he knows it or not. But Mr. Donahue Peebles, who's a wealthy real estate investor. One of the things that he speaks on heavily is the fact of the lack of capital in these neighborhoods that are predominantly African American. And the same people that have the opportunities to have access to certain capital, there's so many other different ideas that have been untapped because of the lack of that one resource.
That's
and
right.
I think that if one of the things, like just us as Black men, if we could get to the point, not even just Black men, just period, get to the point of understanding that money is a resource and not necessarily a goal, and just switch that a little bit, then it's like, okay, maybe I can just work on my idea and present it somewhere and then something to happen. No, we're not Jimmy Iovine business partners, you know what I mean? Like Dr. Dre is, but at the same time, the only thing that separated you from Dr. Dre is the fact that he had the resources. He had one tool, which was the money to do the idea. So that's just my rant.
Hey, before you move on, I'm missing a big piece, right, that I haven't spoke on. And so hopefully between April and May, I'll be finishing my doctorate degree.
Oh, Dr. Benson. I was going to let you say I wasn't going to do Dr. Benson.
So what do I want to achieve next? So definitely that. But more importantly, with that degree, right, it's dealing with, it's a DBA, a doctorate in business administration, with the concentration of insurance. Right. So I want to utilize my degree in the platform to expose more minorities to the insurance industry. And so the goal is to be able to get on platforms like this, go across the country, to different business conferences, financial conferences, music conferences, and talk about the the importance of insurance, but also the opportunity that it brings. You know what I mean, for minorities, and the wealth that is built for individuals that really get into it, and create a niche in whatever it is that they choose, whether it's life insurance, wealth management, property and casualty, commercial insurance, just a number of different things. So that is really definitely what I want to do. And then, of course, with the franchise is a big piece of that, of being able to say, hey, not only do I want to tell you about insurance, but I also have an opportunity for you. Right. So even if you're not in a position to say, put up the money to own your own franchise, we have another path, which is called the path to partnership, where you literally can work into the business. Say, for example, say you guys are down in Atlanta, right? And you say, hey, I want to get an insurance. However, I don't have the money that it costs for the franchise fee and the infrastructure for the building or whatever. Well, we will come in and say, okay, you find us a location, locate somewhere, we fly down or whatever, find a perfect location, get the lease, the signage or whatever. We'll open a location for you, right? In the meantime, you manage it. You manage that book of business. You create the leads, do everything you need to do, right? We're handling everything. And say 3 years from now, 3 to 5 years from now, you say, hey, I'm ready. I got, the franchise fee. I'm ready to do whatever. So what happens is you pay your franchise fee. It'll be a reduced rate since you've been working with us. But not only that, the book of business that you built is now yours. Right. So we're literally setting you up an opportunity, because a lot of us, we don't have the extra capital to do it, but we say, hey, I am interested. How can I, jumpstart my career? Well, you're helping us because you're allowing us to expand in a different area and tap into another market. But not only that, once you create what you've created, we're going to give you that book of business. See, the great thing about insurance is residuals. We all have to have, say, car insurance, right? You guys now have a mortgage, so you have, the mortgage insurance and things of that nature. So every year your mortgage renews. Every 6 months or 12 months, your car insurance renews. Guess what happens? We get paid every time that happens.
Gotcha.
Times however many clients you may have. Right? So that's the great thing about insurance. You have the residuals of income that comes in for you. So as you continue to build, you make more money. But guess what? So if January I start, say this is the first year, and I did $6,000 this year, right? And next January, say I'm at a 90%, I'm just throwing numbers out, a 90% retention rate. So next January, I start with not writing one piece of business, say at about $5,400, $5,500. January 3, I'm going to double that. And that's going to be about 10 grand. You get what I'm saying? Without writing a piece of business. January 4 years, that's 15,000.
You trying to make music money, ain't you, with these residuals?
Exactly. And that's why insurance is a special tool, right? To build wealth. A lot of us don't know about it. And so I want to be able to expose that. So that's a big piece I almost skipped over of what's next that I want to achieve.
Hey, we're going to talk sometime this week, though, because the Most High works in mysterious ways, as they say. And it's, I've been working on something, and for you to say that, it clicked. But we're going to leave that for that. You had told us what is your why, so we're going to go to the last question that we have.
Yeah.
Can you recommend 3 books that were game changers for you?
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, over these last 3, let me digress. So unfortunately, over these last 3 years, I haven't really read many books. because everything's been about researching my topic. Right now, we've been assigned books that we have to read for assignments or whatever, but the reality is I didn't read them through the entirety. I read them for the assignment. Being honest, right?
Yeah.
I read a lot of articles. I read a bunch of articles every day. Every day I read articles, business articles, hip hop articles, insurance articles, just a number of different things, right? So I'm constantly reading, but not books. So the first book that I was introduced to when I was in the military, the guy's name is Craig Frazier. We're still good friends. You may see him on some of my Facebook posts. But he was the first brother that I identified that was an investor. You know what I mean? He knew the insides and outs of the stock market. And so when I was in Germany, he was giving a class. And when we had like an intermission or a break, I went straight to him. I said, would you be willing to teach me everything you know? I'm a 19-year-old kid, right? I want to know everything you want to know. Once again, it's about business for me, right? So he was like, sure. From the time that he said that, this is no exaggeration. You can ask him. From the time he said that to the time that I left Germany, I think, did he leave before? Yeah, he left. Oh, man. We might have left around the same time, but it was like months apart, right? Because I remember he was buying a house and we was going through the process of trying to buy a house to get back home. I was at his house every weekend. So that's at least a year and a half. Every weekend I was at his house,
right,
learning something. So I was on my, I had leave to go home. He said, I got a book I want you to read in the midst of you traveling back to the States. And it was The Richest Man in Babylon.
It's a good one.
I think I heard of that. Yep.
And that's by George Samuel Klassen, The Richest Man in Babylon. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Now, mind you, I've never read books like that. You know what I mean? I'm 19 years old. I'm being honest. So, I would get, we had the source. Hip Hop XL. What else did we have? Say it again.
King Magazine,
right? And so in the midst of it, you know what I'm looking at, Right? So I'm not even reading the articles unless it's dealing with like Jay or somebody. I'll read a few things. So my mind wasn't really open like that. So that was like the first real book, not even in school. You know what I mean? Book reports, I'm skimming, trying to pull information, just enough to get by. So that was the first book that I read. And I was like, oh my God, yo, this is amazing, right? He said, I got something else I want you to read. He said, this is really bring it home for you as a foundation. That second book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
How did I know, yo?
By Robert Kiyosaki.
Oh, how did I know? But go ahead, Joe.
And so I probably read that book like 2 or 3 times, but like, it's just a wonderful foundation. It's been, when he wrote it probably like 30 years ago, and it's still prevalent today.
To this day, as Deontay Wilder said.
Yeah. I mean, it's still prevalent.
Definitely.
One that I read later on is The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene.
I haven't heard that one.
And so it's a strategic book. 50 did one called The 50 Laws of Power. If I'm not saying that. Yeah. So he added 2 more laws of it. And it's really good, man, because it's about strategic thinking. All these books really are about critical thinking, right?
Yeah.
Right. But that one's really about strategic thinking and how you maneuver in certain meetings and things like you will really enjoy that. And so those 3 books, I think, will be great foundations for any entrepreneur. There's tons of them out there. Yeah. And in my opinion, once you start reading them, they start to mirror each other. You will get other nuggets because this is coming from somebody else's perspective and their experience. So you're always going to learn something new, but a lot of them, they have like similar jargon. So I would say subscribe to, different magazines that you enjoy or articles, news articles. Me being in insurance, I subscribe to like a number of insurance publications, business publications. I love entertainment. So all those things, it all works together for me. You know what I mean? And like you said, Mr. Peebles is a mentor to you. That's a true
I
statement.
don't know him yet, though.
No, but from afar, right?
Yeah, definitely
From afar, he has literally been a mentor to you because of the things that he's been able to achieve and also the principles you've been able to utilize, not just in business, but in your personal life, right? And so all of these books and individuals that you take a liking to, you know, they become mentors to you. The other thing is podcasts, man. Podcasts are killing the game right now, right? Like, so there are a number of podcasts that you can just get a lot of information, and it doesn't, I can't say, hey, of course you have sports podcasts, you have music podcasts, but even with that, they bring in some prolific speakers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Talking about business and talking about entrepreneurship, investing, earn your leisure. You know what I mean? I love listening to Earn Your Leisure.
Yeah, that's
You know what I mean? They always drop some nuggets, and they have individuals from all walks of life talking about different businesses. You know what I mean? So I would say podcasts are great, man. Documentaries, being able to learn about other individuals, their struggles and their triumphs and wins. So all those things, I think, help feed just the spirit, the soul, and the beast in you to become a better person and to go out here and win. Definitely. And I say in closing, man, I appreciate you guys for having me on here and getting my perspective. And I hope that maybe someone that was listening will be able to benefit at least a nugget or two. You know, I didn't say nothing real prolific per se, but it has been my experience.
Listen, man, so people listening to your experience can take the wisdom that you have and apply it. I mean, one of the things that with wisdom, experience is a great teacher, but also learning from other people and learning where they went well and where they went wrong, so that way you don't go wrong. You know what I mean? Is big. So I definitely appreciate the conversation. As always, I would, to the listeners, viewers, all of that, Rich Dad, Poor Dad book, I would say that you want to read at your discretion, because once you read that, you might want to quit your job.
Right.
So serious. So like for my oldest daughter, like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give it to her. Like if she's in college, like junior year college,
right.
But if she doesn't go to college, it's gonna be like that summer right after graduation, because it's like we got to do something. But and I feel like I'm gonna give it to. I'm not trying to play favorites. I'm probably gonna give it to my son like freshman year, but I'm gonna give it to the girls. Like
I mean, it's a wonderful book. The other thing, to mind, in the back of the book, he has a game. I forget what it's called. I forget what it's called. I'm not even going to butcher it, but it's similar to Monopoly.
Yeah,
but it's based off of his book. I'm telling you, and so Mr. Frazier, he didn't have it, but it was another gentleman that was in the military by the name of Malcolm Golson. Okay. He had the game, and we all played it. But it takes hours, man, because it's like Monopoly. It's similar to Monopoly. So I would say, you know what I mean? Now that I'm thinking about it, the first time I thought about it, since you asked me, I'm probably going to have to get it for myself.
Yeah, I actually got to get the hard copy book because I got the PDF.
Okay.
And you know what I mean? Like I got a lot of PDFs. Like my wife can tell you, like maybe she can't. I got like a whole terabyte full of books from real estate, entrepreneurship, business, spirituality, religion, marriage.
You got stuff about marriage?
Yeah.
You be trying to learn?
Yeah, what you mean? That's everything, the learning process, man. You know, the black, I ain't gonna say that. It was gonna be a good thing, but I ain't want to be controversial at all. But black women are magical. I'll just say that and leave it at that. That is not a racist statement whatsoever. Black women are magical. So I'm gonna leave that on that. Thank you, Mr. Benson.
Yes, thank you. One thing I did want to say as well.
Yeah, because you ain't say nothing.
I mean, y'all talk. I commend you, Jeff. Most of what you said, you often refer to, I'm doing this because I want to help. I have this because I want to help. You're always looking to help, and we need more people like you. And I commend you and I appreciate you. I'm saying that from myself because it feels really good to see young Black people wanting to help other people and wanting to help people help themselves and get themselves, like, breaking these generational curses and things like that, and bringing their families up and helping themselves instead of everybody just getting a handout, or everybody's doing everything for me. This is just for me. This is for me. No, like, that's one thing that we're big on, is helping other people. Yeah. And there are people who come to me and ask me about business stuff. There have been people that when I was starting my business, I would ask them questions and they would be hemming and hawing, would give me answers. And then I had some people who would tell me straight to the point, like, oh yeah, do this. This is what I did. This is how it worked. We need more people like that. We don't need to gatekeep on everything because there's enough for everybody to go around.
Yes. That's the way I feel.
Doing that.
Yeah, that's the way I feel. And that's nothing more frustrating. It's nothing more frustrating than when you reach out to somebody that you know has the resource for you that won't give it to you.
Yes.
And I think what makes me angry more about it is because people can call me at any given time. Tamon knows this, right? Mm-hmm. He can call me. I'll give him whatever resource I got.
Right.
But I'm like that to everybody. It's not just because that's my man. If someone calls me, they're in need and I have the resource. They call me because they know that they believe that I have the resource. Right. It's not about, hey, I need X amount of dollars for this consultant fee. No, this is who you need to talk to. Tell them that I reached out. In fact, I'll probably text them and let them know that you're going to be reaching out to them.
Right.
Whatever the case be. Because I just want to see you win. Because evidently you reached out to me because it's like, hey, I know that he probably has something that can help me get to the next level. It ain't about no credit. It ain't about anything other than, hey, I'll follow up and say, hey, did you get what you need? Yes, I did. I was able to do this. Good. That's all I need to know.
That's all it
is. I don't need nothing else. I just need to know that it was handled for you. And so when I don't get that reciprocated, and there's very little times that happens. I'm not going to say that happens often to me, but it is times where it does. It gets under my skin, but then I'll be like, not everybody's like you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I got to respect it because business is shrewd.
Yeah.
So I'm taking my community spirit into a business setting. Guess what? You're going to get your feelings hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people are shrewd when it comes to business. You know what I mean? So, sometimes you got to, put your ego and your feelings aside and be like, look, this is business. Even though I didn't like it, I do understand. Because they're constantly, they may be looking at you as competition. And it might be like, look, he may take this or she may take this and take it to the next level. I ain't where I want to be. And I too understand that. But once again, I can't take what you already have laid out for you. God has my path for me.
Right.
We should be able to eat together. But unfortunately, it doesn't go like that all the time.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
You're funny.
And my wheels is turning, bro.
But again, we truly, truly appreciate you coming on and talking with us tonight, sharing your wisdom and knowledge. You got any last words that you want to end on?
I just say, I didn't speak about spirituality, but I thank God for allowing me to get through some of the rough times that we had, continue to preserve me, even in the midst of the rough times. The outside didn't know it. You know what I mean? Probably like you guys too. I'm honored all the time with a number of awards, and I'm grateful for those things. But more so, him being able to elevate me into what it is that I've destined to become.
Definitely.
I'm not all the way there, but the stuff that if I was to go back and look at the checkoff list, I've checked off a great deal of things. You know what I mean? That I'm proud of myself of doing. And this one big one is going to be this doctorate degree because
I know that's right.
That's a beast within itself. And then just for myself, knowing I used to struggle with school. So now to be able to say, hey, you're Dr. Benson, that's just another testimony. Like, yeah, you can do it.
Yes.
Man, yeah, we on Dr. Benson. Yep. So if you like what you heard, Like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We ain't got no TikTok. Okay. So until the next time, everyone have a good night.
Well, how they reach Jeff?
How they reach Jeff? Okay, Jeff, you got to plug yourself. Jeff, how do we reach you?
Appreciate
that. What'd you say?
I said I appreciate it. I just started laughing to myself. So, I have the professional page, which is you can reach me at Jeffrey T. Benson Jr. on both Instagram and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
The more personal, intimate is at J Benson 84. Both IG and Hotmail. And you know what I mean? We have a good time on my social media pages. LinkedIn, you can find me at Jeffrey T. Benson Jr.
Listen, Jeffrey is a well-rounded social media personality. Trust me.
Yeah.
He has everything from the riches to the ratchet.
You got to get a little bit of ratchet and righteousness. You'll get both.
Yes, that's what it is. Righteousness and ratchet. Everything
in between. Right? We have a good time. But it's about bringing people together, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's not you won't see us tearing each other down. It's about making you laugh, but also thought-provoking questions as well. So
right.
That's going to be all for us tonight. Thank you for tuning in. And I don't know how to be ending this. We need to figure out.
I got one,
you got it. All right, bars.
So until the next time I messed up.
All right. Run it back.
All right. So again, like he said, thank you all for watching us. Join us in 2 weeks for our next show, and make sure you bring your dinner to the table.
Oh,
tell me if that was corny or not, because I don't know.
It was just a little bit, but we're gonna ride with it. We ain't got one. Bring your dinner to the table. Peace.